Hey kids, it's the Missenden Flyer here, hope you're well. You join me at the start of another Missenden Flyer mini tour. Today I'm back out with my friends at Canary Motorcycle Tours and we're on a bit of an adventure because today we're starting here in Gran Canaria and we're off to Tenerife, so stick around and stay tuned. So you may notice it's looking a little bit dark, and that's because we're on a very early start. It's just gone 6 AM on a Sunday morning, and we've got an early start because in order to get to Tenerife, of course, we have to catch a ferry. And I'm starting, as I mentioned, in Gran Canaria, at a place called Vecindario, which is where Canary Motorcycle Tours are based, and it's about an hour's run to get the ferry. And of course you have to be there about half an hour early. I think the ferry goes at something like 8 o'clock, so with a bit of contingency meant we had to leave at 6, which is a time of day I don't often see. However, the great thing is, even though it's 6 o'clock in the morning and it's late November when I'm filming this, it's lovely and warm. It's I don't know what the temperature is, but it feels about 16-17 degrees already, and the weather is set fair all day, so I'm really looking forward to this little mini adventure. As you can see, there's a group of us on the tour. Up the front we've got Martin, the tour leader, on his bike, and on the back of his bike he's got Carol, and then behind them we've got Jayton, and then behind me we've got Ken, and I'll hopefully introduce you to these guys later on when we get on the ferry. So the start of the journey is a ride up this main road, the one really main road on Gran Canaria, up to where the ferry is, and hopefully the sun will be up very soon, so stick around and stay tuned. So this particular main road that runs up the east coast of Gran Canaria is known as the GC1, and it's the main road that runs, as I say, basically up and down the eastern edge of the island, and gets you to the airport as well. So if you ever come on holiday to Gran Canaria, you've likely been on this road. And Vecindario, where we started, is about 20 minutes south of the airport. So you can see the airport is just up here. Of course, Gran Canaria, very much a tourist island, but this particular part of the island is sort of a, I suppose you'd describe it as a more industrial end, all the main tourist beaches and so on being at the south of the island. So I'm really looking forward to today. I've never been to Tenerife before. I've been to Gran Canaria before, obviously, and I've been to Lanzarote. Tenerife is a new one of the Canaries I've not done, and the sort of draw for Tenerife is the fact that it has Mount Teide on it, or Teide, which is a big volcano. All the islands are volcanic, but Tenerife in particular has that, I think, still active volcano, well, I guess, that forms the whole island. And it's actually the tallest peak in the whole of Spain, if you regard the Canary Islands as part of Spain. I think the local Canary Islanders possibly wouldn't, but the rest of Spain does. And it's something like 10,000 feet, so it really is a tall one. So we're going to ride up it today if we can, as far as we can. You can't ride all the way up it, I understand, but certainly you can get up to where the air is thin. I don't do well in thin air, so it might be a bit out of breath when we get up there. It'll be interesting to see how the bikes go. Myself and the two guys in front of me are on Honda NC750Xs, which are, of course, modern fuel-injected bikes, so theoretically the altitude will make no difference. But Ken behind is on a different bike. I'm not quite sure what it is, maybe we'll have a look later. His is carbureted, so he's going to find he's going to have to change down a few gears and wind on a bit more throttle as we get a bit higher. So it'll be interesting to see how he finds that. Anyway, that's a lot later in the day. Our first task is to get to the ferry on time. So just passing the airport now, there's the control tower. Not sure what time flights start. I expect it's about 7 AM, so nothing happening there at the moment, but for such a small island, a massive airport. Okay, so we're just coming up to the northeastern corner of Gran Canaria now. You can just see Las Palmas over there to my right, which is the capital of the island. Hopefully you can see that on the GoPro. So this end, again, is a little bit more touristy. I guess lots of people come to Las Palmas. I find it all slightly confusing. I'm a simple fellow because the capital of Gran Canaria is Las Palmas, and I have a feeling the capital of Tenerife, where we're going, is also Las Palmas. So if you're flying to the island, you've got to make sure you get the right one, or you've got a long swim on your hands. At the moment it's an absolute perfect temperature for riding. I've got to drink this in because at home it's something like 6 degrees and pretty damp and miserable and frosty. And this sort of riding, this sort of temperature for me living where I do is few and far between at this time of year. We forget how lucky we are living in Western Europe, because you can just jump on a plane, one of those cheapo ones, a Ryanair or an EasyJet. You can get down here for like 60 quid if you plan it right, and you're into this great riding weather. Thoroughly recommend it if you've not tried it. Not only is the weather nice normally, but the roads generally speaking are nice and quiet as well. It's a real treat, and it completely spoils you for when you get back home again and back to reality. Even this main road is fun. So the ferry we're looking to get to Tenerife is on the Fred Olsen line, I believe. And I think there's basically 2 ferries that run between the island. They sort of crisscross halfway between and run all day. So and it's about an hour's crossing. So there are a number of crossings every day. So it's relatively convenient to do this sort of island hopping. So I understand, but of course we'll find out. Okay, so we're on the northern tip of the island now, and it's the waves here are amazing. I don't know if you can see on the GoPro, but these are absolutely massive waves crashing here as the northern part of the island gets the full brunt of the force of the Atlantic. Check that out. Gosh, if you're into surfing, well, I think you'd be pretty brave to go on those. They look monstrous. There's even spray coming up over the road here. I'm getting it on my visor. Very, very impressive for a landlubber like me that doesn't see waves very often. I just hope that doesn't mean the ferry crossing is going to be a little bit interesting. I'm not the greatest sailor. We shall find out. Pretty impressive bridge we're about to cross. I've done some pretty amazing bridges this year, and this is another one to the collection. Right, I don't think we've got too far to go now till we get to the ferry port. Alrighty, well, it looks like we're just rolling into the port now. Some more impressive waves. Wow. And here we are with the Fred Olsen Express. It's actually a catamaran, this ferry. Don't think I've ever been on one of these before, so it's going to be quite exciting. Everybody's queued up to get on. I think that I've got a feeling that bikes go on first, so that's rather nice. This will be the bike lane then. Sorry mate, cop that up. After you.
Oh, after you.
Oh. Well, that got the juices flowing for a Sunday morning, didn't it? Very nice. Those waves, you see those waves?
Yeah.
Unbelievable, aren't they? Yeah. So we just had the passports checked, and on we go, no waiting whatsoever. So yeah, it does look like we go on first. Wow, this is quite a boat. Well, I'm going to have to put 2018 down as my year of ferries. I've been on so many ferries this year on the bike, it's been great. Looks like the guys strap them down for you. Cool. Right, let's get on board the ferry and I'll introduce you to the team. You're right there, Ken. Tell me about it. Lucky you. Right, here we are. All right, team, let's get on board.
Okay, let's go. Alright, where do we go? So good to strapping down this.
Yeah, let's have a look at it. So how do they do this then?
Very, very simple. Very straightforward.
So just over the swing arm?
Yeah. You don't get your bike clamped down to death.
Yeah, what a good idea. How many bikes are these carrying, do you reckon? Is it just these?
Very easy.
Yeah, yeah.
They're big here. It's a big over there. That's where we were the last time.
Right, right.
But yeah, very,
Pretty
very
impressive.
Very streamlined.
Right then, should we go and find a coffee?
Yep, we shall.
Well, this is pretty cool. Remains to be seen what the crossing's like, of course. Well, this is pretty cool, isn't it?
Yes, you can sit anywhere we like, but we've just been kicked out of the wheelchair.
Fair enough. Okay, so here we are on board. I'm going to introduce you to the team. So this here is Ken, who, if you've watched my videos for a while, you may remember from last time. Hello, Ken, how are you doing?
Oh yes, good morning.
So you've been here for a while, this time, haven't you?
A month, all in.
A month? The man virtually lives here. What is going on?
Absolutely. Home tomorrow.
But you've been to Tenerife before, haven't you?
I have.
So you're an old
about
hand.
18 months, 2 years ago.
And this
Yes.
crossing was interesting?
Yes, very good. It's a great experience. It's
Okay.
a full day.
Experience is the word I'm a little bit... okay, more of that later then. Okay, excuse me, let me introduce the rest of the crew. Coming round. So this here is Jason. Now, before he speaks, I must tell you he lives in Canada. Right, now, hello Jason, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Now, notice that the accent isn't quite Toronto-ish, is it?
Toronto, yeah, I'm from Canada, in Toronto, and I ride a R1200 RT.
Good man.
And looking forward to a great day in Tenerife today.
Excellent. And how long are you here for on this trip?
Just for 3 days.
Brilliant, excellent. Okay, right, moving on. Now this chap here, again, you would have met before, Martin. You can look, he looks a little bit frightened.
Yeah, I'm feeling sick already. We haven't even left yet.
He was feeling a bit queasy on the bike earlier. Okay, right, we'll have more of that later.
Can't talk.
Live vomiting. Okay. And this here is Carol, our pillion on the trip. Hello, Carol. A little bit shy. All right, now, apparently the sea conditions, according to Ken, he did a check of the sea conditions. What did you describe them as?
Excessive.
Excessive. So I'm going to strap in and get the vomit bag ready. This is a rock and roll ferry, isn't it? Check that out.
Wow.
I don't know if the GoPro picks it up, but if you just look down there, I mean, you can see the pitching.
Yeah.
Let's see if the GoPro picks it up. Not really. But it's a lot worse than we're making out.
Yeah, right.
We're very brave. How are you doing so far, Martin? We've been going for about 3 minutes.
I'm still alive, but
Okay.
I might have a full breakfast in a minute, actually.
Yeah, go for it. Crikey, this is
calms you down a bit.
This is quite a thing, isn't it? Oh, actually, look at that. You can see the sea out the front there.
Yeah, it's up and down. We've only got an hour to go.
So, Ken, apparently it does 42 knots, this.
36 knots.
Is it? Oh, 36.
41 miles an hour. Or
Rubbish then, isn't it?
It is.
That's pretty impressive,
That's
actually.
second gear.
It goes faster than Ken's bike.
Okay, get a bit more of an impression of the rock and roll here. I think being in the middle of the vessel is the way to go, isn't it?
Yes.
Because down the front there, as it pitches, you get a bit of negative G and then a bit of... It's quite something. Oh, this is incredible. Now check out the speed. I don't know if you can see out the window there. So that's quite impressive. And then the next impressive sight on this ferry.
Hey kids.
That is a man that knows fashion when he sees it. And if you'd like to go to my Teespring store, you too can look like Ken. Because that's probably killed that particular line.
Smaller sizes are available.
Well, crossing successfully negotiated. Although it did get quite rock and roll during the middle of the trip. Actually, it was quite nice once we got going. I quite enjoyed it. Seats were really comfy. Bit of a kip. Very nice. Excellent. So not only did we get on the ferry first, but we get to come off pretty much first as well. One of the many advantages of riding motorcycles. So, welcome to Tenerife, everybody. My first ever visit. The Canary Islands are all very different, so it's going to be interesting to see what this is like. It's all a bit manic here, much whistling going on. Oh, it's feeling lovely and warm. Perfect riding weather. Amazing building up ahead. I don't know if you can see that on the GoPro. Looks a bit like the Sydney Opera House underneath a sail. So Tenerife then is sort of a long, thin island. A bit bigger than Gran Canaria. Gran Canaria is sort of a, well, just like a round island, but almost a perfect circle. And as I mentioned before, Tenerife is of course dominated by its volcano Teide. I'll call it Teide. I'm sure somebody will correct me. But before we head on up there later, we're kind of going up, I think, pretty much the middle of the island through a forested area. So that sounds really nice. Well, that's an impressive building. I wonder what that is. Tell you what, these tours are so good when you're with somebody like Martin, who knows the place like the back of his hand. You just don't have to worry about where you're going, what lane to be in. Don't even have to worry about looking at a sat-nav. Just follow the bike in front and all is well. I must say, it's very nice over here so far. Very business-like looking town. I imagine in the height of the season, in the height of the summer, and it gets very hot here, it'd be absolutely beautiful under these trees. A few cruise ships in, and the Spanish Navy. Oh, what a great thing to be doing on a Sunday morning. What is the name of this town? I don't even know where we are, do you?
Puerto de la Cruz.
Aha, thank you. Port of Cruz. This is outrageous. I can jump on a ferry and go somewhere. I didn't even know the name of the town. That is outrageous. I do apologise to any local residents that may be watching. Oh, there goes a Harley. Puerto de la Cruz is where we are. And there is a massive cruise ship coming into Puerto de la Cruz. Lots of oil rigs and stuff as well, so obviously some oil money around. Or gas maybe. So I asked Martin earlier what sort of route we were going to be doing, and we're basically going up and down the length of the island. As I mentioned, this forest we're going to is called something like the Mercedes forest, so in my mind that conjures up a very specific type of forest, which I'm sure it's not like, but trees made of pointed stars, that sort of thing. I'm sure it's nothing like that. Earlier on Gran Canaria we rode through Las Vegas, and that was quite different to how I imagined as well. Tell you what, gasometers look so much better with palm trees in front. Else in Spain it looks like cycling is a massive thing here in Tenerife. Certainly got some climbing to do if they're going to go up Teide at 10,000 feet. Teide, whatever it is called. Must get that sorted. So just for the purposes of those following on the map, this is the TF11 that we're on now, out of Puerto de la Cruz, heading north. It's actually a really nice road, this. It's just hugging the coast, of course, at the bottom of these hills, and very little traffic on here at the moment. I wonder if that's us going up that hill there. That looks great if we are. Well, certainly going up a hill. Oh, this is more like it. Wow, what a fabulous road. I'm not sure how much hairpinage we're in for here. I imagine it'll be a fair amount. But as I learnt last year when we toured the centre of Gran Canaria, there's an awful lot of hairpins there. But so far these have been a little bit more open, which I actually quite like. Oh, I'm so going to miss these sorts of roads when I get back again to dreary old Blighty. Now this island is very green compared to Gran Canaria. It might just be that we're on the southern tip, which is facing south obviously, and maybe that just encourages in this particular valley this sort of green look. Could be to do with the time of year as well. But yeah, pretty spectacular stuff. So the bike that I'm riding today is one of Canary Motorcycle Tours' new Honda NC750Xs that they bought because it's an ideal bike for this sort of riding. It feels quite light and agile when you're going, although they're not actually that light a bike. They're something like 220 kilograms, but when you're moving they feel very light. And they're really economical as well, so it means that they don't have to keep doing lots of stops for fuel. You can just fuel up at the start of the day basically and you're good for the day, which of course is useful if you're running a motorcycle tour company. Not to mention, of course, Honda reliability and so on. And I've been riding this bike for the last couple of days and I have to say it's really nice. I read a few reviews about them before I came out, and you know, lots of people are fairly, what's the word, not disparaging, but they're not a sports bike. They're not going to rip your arms off. They're not built for performance, but for this sort of local touring, fantastic. This is one of those classic roads and routes that if you did it in a car you'd feel really ill because of all these turns. You'd be lolloping from side to side and it would make me feel pretty nauseous, but on a bike you don't get that. The centre of gravity is always, or rather the vector of gravity, is that what I mean, is always straight down. You know, you're always at 1g perpendicular to the seat, so you don't get that sort of car sickness feeling on a bike. So suddenly these roads that go through some of the most spectacular places just become a joy to travel through rather than a chore. Motorcycle is definitely the way to do these sorts of roads. And these mountains are quite different to anything I've ridden through before. I think because of the abundance of greenery and the type of plants that they are. So we are well in the climb now. We've just been climbing up these hairpins now for a good 20 minutes. I've no idea how high we are at this point. But the road's a little bit damp up here. They've either had rain overnight or it's just the atmosphere is a bit damp up here. I suspect rain. So having to be a little bit careful on the corners. But quite a place. Wow, this road here. Some wicked hairpins on here. There was me thinking we were going to get away with it. Hey ho. Cracking views. Now check out that road. I think that's where we just came up actually. And for those following on the map, I'm not quite sure how the road names work here, but this is the TF12, TF obviously for Tenerife, and then 12, and this is just a cracking mountain road winding up here. At quite a massive height, and it just snakes its way up there. Brilliant. Looks like there's an observatory at the top there as well. I did notice last night actually as I was in the hotel and looked out the balcony, what cracking night skies they have around here. Actually it's not an observatory, it's a rock. But I'm pretty sure there are observatories on the top of Teide, just again because of its big height and the fact that most of the time it's poking out through the clouds, which makes for pretty good stargazing. Crikey, I can feel my ears starting to pop. Okay, so we've just come through a tunnel and we're in the descent now. We've burst out on the coast again. Check that out. There's a little bit of low cloud here and a bit of spray, so hope you can see okay. The camera lens isn't too fogged up, but spectacular views as ever on these trips. You get superlatived out. I mean, that really is a wow moment. Look at that. What a beautiful little place down there. Oh, I'm liking Tenerife, I've decided. Look at this road. Awesome, properly awesome. That's a word I don't use very often, but this really is. Probably can't see on the GoPro, but there's some sort of terraces carved into the side of the hillside there as well, growing some crops of some description. Oh wowzer, this is one hell of a descent. Again, the GoPro always flattens hills out, but I'm in second gear, I'm giving it no throttle and the bike's speeding up. Look at that, look at that. Oh, Bruce is here with me in spirit. Yeah, that is pretty good. Understatement of the year. Hope you can see okay amongst this humidity. Oh, loving that road down there. Quite a bit of rockfall here from where the rain or whatever has washed some of the stuff off the side of them hills. Got to be careful for that. What a cracking road this has turned out to be. One thing, I don't suppose Martin has too much trouble with his tyres squaring off. And I've just noticed, in case you're making a note, that this is the TF134, this amazing road down the side of the hill. It goes around the back of this rock and then snakes its way down, by the looks of it, into that town. Oh, what a joy this is. Can only be made better if the sun would come out. Not that it's cold, it's just a bit dull. So here are, the town was called Taganana, T-A-G-A-N-A-N-A. Sounds like some sort of relay where you use bananas. Taganana. Using the bananas as batons, by the way, just making that clear. Well, that climb up was definitely worth it for this lovely little coast down. It's been a great little ride through here. Great looking little bar cum restaurant down there. Now this is what you call a hairpin. What a splendid spot. Now there's a coastal view if ever I've seen one. Ooh, rare chance to get a side view on of Martin. Let's get a wave. Brave of me, a bit of formation riding there. Look at that sea, that is stirring something big. That is just showing you nature at its best, isn't it? The power of that. Not too many people in having a swim today. And the beach down there, look, it's just black. It's mainly rock, but there is a sandy bit towards the wall there. And it's just this sort of black volcanic looking stuff. These are some massive waves. The sort of thing that if you did have at home, wow, there's a huge crash there. If you did have these at home in Cornwall, there'd be people out trying to surf like nutters, but luckily the Spanish are a bit more sharp than that. Unbelievable. We could get wet up here, the waves are crashing over the wall at the end. It's weird because it looks so sort of damp and so on, but it's actually quite warm. Little stop. Wow, what do you make of that then, Ken?
Good.
That was amazing, wasn't it?
Good crossing, good ride down.
And this,
this is, look at the sea.
I mean, the temperature here. You enjoy that?
It's fab, yeah.
It's great, wasn't it? Yeah. The temperature down here is just incredible. Let's go and show you the sea. So how are you feeling now, Martin?
I'm feeling a lot better now.
Recovered?
Yes.
Bit of sea air, do you good? Isn't this gorgeous?
Yeah. It's a nice big beach here as well.
Yeah, look at the colour of that sand. That's volcanic for you, isn't it?
Yeah. Did you bring your boogie board there, Ken?
I was going to say, what happens when you listen to Suffolk?
I'd tell you what, if this was in Cornwall, there'd be some nutters trying to surf, wouldn't there?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really big sea.
Yeah, that is a big sea, isn't it?
It's a big swell, lads. Hey!